Hello, Aries. Welcome to your bonus reading here on Dove and Serpent Tarot. If you're watching this reading was meant to find you. Please hit the like button, leave a comment. Consider subscribing to the channel, especially if this reading resonates with you. Now, this is a general reading, so try to be open and receptive to whatever may come through during our time together. I am merely the messenger, and I ask you to connect directly with each of these cards and use your own intuition to take you beyond the details that I provide. And remember, Aries, that the most important part of any tarot reading is you. Five of Pentacles. A lot of things are changing in your life right now. I think that this is somebody who is trying to really stabilize their lives, okay? I think that you are someone who sometimes thrives in the chaos, you know? You thrive when there is a lot to do, when there is some sort of motivation under your feet, right, to get going. Now, if the ground is kind of shaky, if our situation is not all that stable, we're very motivated to act, right? It's when things settle down and things seem like they're solidifying that we sort of lose the momentum, or we lose the impetus, right, to continue working very, very hard, right? And I think that this is you ready for some solidification, ready for some stabilizing, ready to see some of the fruits of your labor. But I think there's also this concern for we don't want to get stagnant. We don't want to slow down and stop, right? But we do need some sort of validation and confirmation that we're doing the right stuff, you know. So I think that your life is maybe a little bit up in the air right now. And we're looking for ways that we can bring it back down to the ground, stabilize that ground, okay? So the Five of Pentacles is a card of change. Yeah. A change in the material world. Let's see what's going on here. Yeah. Let's put this card into some context. We're going to use our Dove and Serpent spread. We've got a Princess of Cups. We've got the Eon Judgment, Rebirth, Reawakening, the Baptism by Fire. We've got the Hermit in the background, the Chariot up above you, and the Princess of Pentacles in front of you. Wow, that's pretty good. Yeah, this is really nice. I feel the Princess of Pentacles here is sort of the way that you are moving forward. I feel like you're transitioning through this fire, and I think you've been through this fiery period. In other words, you've been through the pressure cooker. You've been through the gauntlet, right? I think what we're doing now is focusing on ways that we can fulfill our desires now. We've worked very, very hard. Maybe this is the card that says we need to enjoy the fruits of these labors. Yeah. And that's why this card is showing us the way to the Princess of Pentacles. A way of sort of stabilizing or solidifying, not in the sense of things are going to slow down necessarily, but I think showing us that all of the changes in the material world are leading toward this. I mean, this is a real jackpot here. This is the Princess of Pentacles contains every other card. Okay. So I feel like this is that future where you are living in that reality. You are partaking of the fruits of your labor. So I would start to wonder if maybe there's been a feeling of detachment, that you've been working very hard going through this fiery doorway, but there's been a little bit of a detachment from actually feeling, right? Enjoying what you've been doing, enjoying the process, but also sampling the fruits of your labor. Yeah. If there is anything you would like me to pray over, or meditate upon, or send positive energy toward, please let me know. Now, we'll finish up our cards on the path of the Serpent here. We have the Eight of Cups, the Ace of Swords, Two of Swords, and Eight of Swords. You're being told not to over-intellectualize things. You see how things get more and more complex as we move up the ladder here. If it is an emotional issue, a failure to sort of connect with what you're doing and feel the joy in what you're doing and taste the rewards, taste the fruit, it's not an intellectual problem, right? So we don't want to mentalize it. We don't want to stay in, see, we got 8 of Cups, 8 of Swords. We're sort of ruminating. The 8 of Swords and the 8 of Cups just sort of loops back in on itself, and we stay here. We're trying to intellectually figure out this problem. Why do I feel this way? What does it mean? Maybe I need to go a different direction. Maybe I need to quit. Maybe I need to do something more. Maybe I need to take a vacation. We start looking at life as this intellectual math problem that we can solve, right? But all we're doing is ruminating on how we're feeling, and that leads to more rumination, and that leads to more of the same sort of feeling. And the 8 of Cups is that feeling of, why do I only feel a half measure of life? Why is my cup half empty or half full? Doesn't matter. It's half, right? Let's select our mystery card, bonus card, confirmation card. This is a random card from the Smith-Waite Tarot, Factor Infinite and Unknown. We're going to set it down right here with not Simon Mork Ripley, not ASMR, but we're switching over to Tiny Bob Ross, Happy Little Bob. And we'll scooch everybody down and put Alien at the back of the line. There we go. So we got Bob Ross here to guard that card for us. That card's going to tie everything together. If you have a prediction, please put it in the comments down below. Okay. Now, let's look around the room. Interesting major arcana energies that we have. 1, 2, 3. Chariot, the Hermit, and of course, our fiery doorway to the future, right? I feel like you're in the process of leveling up your life. I feel like right now you're working very, very hard, going through this fiery doorway, shedding your skin, leaving behind everything that's not essential to your path, because you know that this is going to lead to absolute fulfillment. Okay, Princess of Pentacles. All that verdant energy of life is returning. You know what you are creating here. Okay, this is the success of what you're creating. You're taking something that was and producing something that is. So the Princess of Pentacles transforms into the Empress. Okay? So you're taking something that is at a beginning state, a sort of baseline, and you're building it up to you're going from the floor to the ceiling. Okay, basically. Because the Princess of Pentacles is kind of like the dead of winter. It doesn't look like there's anything here. It's barren, it's sterile. There's no life. There's no green life here, right? No plants, no animals. This is kind of like the floor. We know that all this verdant energy is going to return when springtime arrives, and the world will be a lush garden. Yeah. So to me, this card represents the potential that is latent in your situation, whatever your work or your project or your relationship, whatever we're talking about here. There is such potential here, and you're working to bring out this potential. You're trying to make the dollar out of 15 cents, you see. Going from floor to ceiling. Yeah. And it's a lot of work. And so that's why we have this fiery doorway. Okay. We have the Chariot, which is your devotion. What is your discipline? This is the realm within which you are operating. You're kind of saying, I'm trying to keep myself in this particular framework because this is what I've committed to. This is my work, you know. And the Hermit with the Princess of Cups may be talking about a little bit of detachment from the enjoyment, or even from the emotions generally. That maybe we feel the best way to succeed here is to really not be so emotionally involved or attached, to look at it sort of from a third-party perspective, not get so close, not become emotionally involved or entangled in the work that you're doing. Okay? And also I feel that the Princess of Cups with the 5 of Pentacles, try not to freak out about the instability of things. Try not to be so emotionally turbulent based on the day-to-day activity. You know, if the ground beneath our feet is shaky, if we're doing a lot of work, it's kind of like somebody who's renovating their house. And every day you go there and people are demolishing your kitchen, tearing up your floor, tearing down your walls. It's enough to sort of give us anxiety, right? We start freaking out about what we're witnessing. We start craving that future result when everything's finally done, And so we're sort of swayed on the day-to-day. Is this a day of, I feel a lot of progress is being made, therefore I feel good? Is this a day where didn't really make a lot of progress? This was a day maybe of tearing stuff down. Well, maybe I don't feel so joyous that day, right? So we're trying to avoid that, the emotional turbulence, by attaching too much importance to those moment-to-moment activities. And rather think of the big picture. Think of the big potential. There are going to be good days and bad days. Okay. And so I think in the effort to avoid that, I think we've sort of detached from the work altogether. And that might be our hermit energy in the background. Okay. So we have major, major, major. We don't have any fire. And I think we're looking for that motivation again. It's kind of like the 5 is going through the motions, doing the work, right? But there's just not the love. There's just not the zest. The robustness is not there right now, right? But nevertheless, you're in the middle of this huge leveling up. So we do have the fire because we're in the fire, okay? But other than that, I don't think we have really the passion or that vital energy here, that motivation. Yeah. So no fire. We've got a little bit of water here. We've got a lot of air. We've got our earth energies. Okay. It's kind of like, that all of this effort is going to produce the paradise, right? You're growing the garden here. You're bringing out the potential of this situation. Yeah. But somehow we don't, we put these two cards together. Somehow we almost don't feel it yet. And it could be that we're not feeling the joy. We're not feeling that sort of ubiquitous love feeling that I can't believe I'm doing this. This feels so great. Because again, I think we're trying to avoid the day-to-day roller coaster of emotions. You can go from high to low to high to low to high to low 100 times a day. You're trying not to do that and just stay focused and work, work, work. All right. So we have a lot of air energy because I think that it's Spirit's way of telling us not to over-intellectualize the process. That we're trying to maybe be too intellectual. We're trying to plan too much. We're trying to be too stoic and too detached, too zen, that we're not feeling. We're not aware of what's going on now. And I think that we need to reconnect with our bodies and our emotions. These two cards. What are you feeling in your body right now? What does the environment, what does all the activity, all the change that's taking place in your life right now, how does it make you feel, right? We have to be careful that this doesn't sway us into changing our plans. And I think that's why the obstacle here is that 2 of Swords, right? Right after that Ace of Swords. It's kind of like we have to feel how we feel here. We've got to honor our feelings. It's going to be a roller coaster of emotions, but that's going to be part of the process. That's going to add to so much more joy when you really see that you're getting through the other side of this doorway. I feel like this is a leveling up that's taking a few minutes, And so we don't want to detach from the process and just wait for the product, because then the product is going to be, we're going to be detached still, right? So these two cards together are telling you to get in touch with what your body's feeling. Get in touch with the moment-to-moment joys, right? The pleasant and unpleasant reactions, emotional reactions that you feel based on what's going on around you. Doesn't mean that we have to be, something bad happens at work and we just rage and yell and scream. That's not what I mean. And maybe the Hermit has the right idea here, that we need to be aware internally of how we feel. We don't necessarily have to act it out in the world, So let's be careful there, because that could really be dangerous, But the Eon card underneath everything, you're doing something absolutely spectacular. I feel like you have been chosen, okay? And sometimes we don't really know how we feel about it. There's been days where it's been, I don't want to do it. Other days, I'm so excited to do it. I can't believe I'm doing it. And so I think to avoid that, you've detached. And you just said, yeah, I'm chosen. This is the work I'm supposed to do. This is the leveling up that I'm supposed to do. But I'm trying not to be so moved by it. And maybe we think that's a form of maturity. You know, there's something to be said for Stoicism. Anyway, this is not going to be a philosophical reading. But being a little bit detached, yes, it allows us to do what we need to do without any delay, without any interference from our hearts. You know, it's kind of the Chariot card in a way, right? The Chariot card is very emotional. It's a Cancer energy. But it's an emotional Cancer energy that's tried to be contained in this shell, in this armor. We've got our armor on. The things that are happening around me aren't affecting me. I don't feel anything toward it. It's kind of an apathy more than a stoicism, you see. But this allows us to then be completely detached from the moment-to-moment flow of our work. But is that really what we want or what we need? Okay. There is devotion here. There is a commitment. Now you know that you've been chosen because you're right in the middle of this doorway. This is that portal to the new future. This is that portal to the new universe for you. Your life is leveling up. And, it would be easy, I think, to let ourselves go and just be very emotional about it, to be very moved, very attached, very connected to what we're doing. Okay. And I think that's where the dilemma is. This is changing your life. Okay. This is a once in a lifetime opportunity. So you're kind of, with this Chariot card and this Eon card together, you're kind of saying, I'm going to do whatever it takes. However I might need to fortify myself, I'm doing it because this is that once in a lifetime opportunity. I'm going. I've been chosen, and that's it. I'm doing it. Okay. Whatever you have to, I think maybe at great personal cost, you're doing this no matter what. So if you have to sacrifice some certain feelings or your attachment, your connection with your own emotions, so be it. Right? Because you have that devotion and that loyalty to this process. The Chariot and the Charioteer are the ones that are out there on the battlefield saying, I'm doing whatever it takes to get it done. I'm not going home empty-handed. I'm not going to return unless I have won, unless I've completed this task, this quest. Yeah. And that's a very strong connection that you have, right? And so it's kind of making your emotions, your enjoyment, your day-to-day sort of happiness kind of take a back seat. Not even the happiness, but the day-to-day fluctuation of your emotions. It makes them seem rather insignificant. Spirit's saying, get in touch with your body. Get in touch with your emotions again. How do you feel about this process? You have to feel the highs and the lows of the process if you want any kind of connection or satisfaction at the end of the process. If we're apathetic now, we're going to be apathetic later too. And the Hermit, I think, is that the internalization of how we feel. Yeah. And so in some sense, we do need to express our emotions. And that could really be through some sort of body awareness, could be through physical movement, dance, yoga, Tai Chi, Qigong, any of these kind of things, any kind of physical movement, right? Because those emotions are going somewhere, right? And I think that if we have this introspective, we stay connected with our internal world, then you'll be able to process the emotions of this thing and truly enjoy the fruits of your labor now and at the end of the process, whatever this is. Okay. Now, I'm feeling with the Hermit card that this situation, this leveling up, this fiery doorway that you're in the middle of going through, is very different than what you're used to in your life. Maybe you are typically more of a solitary worker, that you sort of enjoy being by yourself and doing your own thing more than doing things in a larger group or a larger context or whatever it might be. Because the hermit mode is kind of like saying that there's a part of you that doesn't really want to be here. And so that's why the hermit kind of puts all that armor on and says, okay, I'm going to endure it, but I'm going to stay protected from it. I'm not really there, It's like you're in the world, but you're not of the world. But I think that's sort of taking you away from the direct experience of the world in this case. So it could be that you're going from being a remote worker to then being back in the office, or doing something that is more of a group or more of a concerted effort. Whereas the hermit just kind of like to do things their own way. I like to work by myself. I like to work alone. I'm independent, And that might be where you feel like you thrive more. But you've been chosen for this particular work, for this particular leveling up, going from the floor to the ceiling, and it's putting you in a context that might be strange to you. Okay? And so that another reason why we're kind of protecting ourselves, we're staying detached. It's almost like we have this protective shield around us, and we're not letting anything in. I'm not letting the good stuff in, or the bad stuff. Yeah. Princess of Pentacles. So this is worth it. This is worth all of your efforts. And again, it's whatever it takes to get this accomplished. This is a tremendous potential. This is going to become the Garden of Eden, right? This is going to be a paradise for you. We have to go through the process of building it up, right? Of bringing about the life and the verdant energy to return to this dark and desolate landscape, right? There is fertility here. It's underneath the surface. And so you're bringing that out, right? And Spirit wants you to be able to connect with the process and the result of the process. Now we're going to talk about the path of the serpent. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It is totally free. It supports the channel, and I do appreciate that. Your general energy, the Eight of Cups. We feel like we're not feeling anything, but that's still a feeling, right? So it's kind of a weird paradox. It's like I don't feel like I feel anything here. You are feeling something. You're feeling an apathy, right? And it's kind of it's a paradox. In your efforts to not feel anything, you sort of feel, it's not a stoicism to me. It feels as if it is a low baseline, It is kind of well, let me just put it this way. The Eight of Swords is a card that I kind of term as the helpless card. The Eight of Cups is a card that I've sort of grown to call the hopeless card. Hopeless and helpless. As in, there is part of you that doesn't feel in control of this, that doesn't feel part of this, that just feels like it's along for the ride. It's like the hermit is just kind of the stowaway in the back of the chariot and is just saying, I don't like it here. Doesn't feel involved, right? This is the feeling, this is kind of almost a sadness in a way. It's an underlying melancholy because I don't feel anything and I'm sad that I don't feel anything. You see how that's kind of a paradox, right? Sort of a contradiction, yeah. Well, that's the emotions. The emotions are irrational. But what you've got stemming from this, growing out of this Eight of Cups, is your rational attempt to explain. It sounds absurd when we say it out loud. I'm sad because I don't feel anything. Well, okay. The Ace of Swords in the environment. I think that this is sort of, it's too much of that Zen feeling. It's too much of that aloofness, I think. It's a very good card. It's a card of clarity. It's a card that says you know the direction. You know that you've been chosen. You have one mission, one purpose, one will, and you're doing it. And that is commendable. That is extraordinary, right? But it's also a card that doesn't really connect. It's an energy that doesn't doesn't allow for any relationships, really, right? It's kind of like saying you have one relationship, and that is with, well, that divine light at the top, right? You have one relationship, and that is a relationship with this purpose, with this leveling up. Again, you're the chosen one, right? This is that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity for you. But it doesn't leave any room for other people, connections, feelings. Your desires, you do have desires and feelings, but we're sort of staying what we think is maybe stoic. That we feel like spirituality sometimes has to be melancholy. That we're doing our will, we're doing our purpose, there's a sadness to it all. And we kind of romanticize the melancholy, right? Because this is that connection with your desires. What kind of experience do you want to have with this? You want to connect with people, you want to feel joy, which means you're going to have to be okay with a bit of a roller coaster on the day-to-day because of what you're doing and the nature of the work. Some days you're going to feel really, really good. You're going to be making friends, you're going to be laughing with people, and you're going to be seeing your house come together. It's going to look nice. Other days, people are going to seem pissed off, and people are going to seem as if they don't want to connect with you. And you're going to think, my house is destroyed, look at this place. It's all a matter of perception, right? As is the Eight of Cups. So you have these desires to connect with people. Okay. And I think we have to make room. There's such thing as too much detachment, of too much stoicism, if that's what we insist on calling it, right? But the Two of Swords, in the position of your obstacle, this is the obstacle card. Spirit is telling you that, in all of this feeling rumination, because see, the Eight of Swords is the rumination. It's going to loop back in on itself. That we're trying to solve an emotional problem as if it's a math problem. It's not going to make sense. These are irrational feelings, right? This is an irrational thing. There's no way that we're going to make sense of it intellectually, but thus we keep looping back in. We keep circling back around to the same ideas, the same points, Spirit saying, whatever you do, don't change course. Don't feel as if you need to quit doing what you're doing, because again, this is that once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. You've been chosen for this thing. This is at the very center of the tarot table today, the Princess of Pentacles. This is what it's all about, okay, is transforming this into the Empress. I'm hoping the mystery card, right? So do not change plans, do not change course. It's also saying, this is a card that's saying, stop the intellectual process and just feel. Stop giving it so much thought, And because the thought is that phrase, I'm sad because I don't feel anything. It is that paradox. It is that oxymoron. It is the contradiction. Just stop it, right? Easier said than done. That's why this is the difficulty. It's hard for us to turn our minds off in that fashion, okay? And we get into that Eight of Swords, and we start to feel like we're helpless, that our hands are tied, our emotions are tied up in all of this thought. And we're not able to connect with anybody. We're not able to connect with our bodies or ourselves, what we want, our desires. We're not able to connect with other people. I'm not able to feel any kind of joy or anything. I'm not feeling any kind of misery or sorrow either. But again, the Eight of Cups, there's kind of a baseline of that melancholy, right? So we have to try to stop the intellectual worry, I guess. The Two of Swords is a card called peace. I look at it as peace of mind. I look at it as Spirit saying, rest assured, everything is fine. You can enjoy the process. You can enjoy the day-to-day. You can endure the low days. You can enjoy the highs. The roller coaster has all sorts of feelings, all sorts of twists and turns. But to do that, you have to get in touch with your body, get in touch with those emotions, and allow yourself to open up and start connecting with people. Connect with yourself, with your body, and with other people. The Eight of Swords at the end. That's, this is that figure 8, right? We're just looping back and forth. We want to get out of that and get to here. We want to feel the feelings on the day-to-day with our devotion and our commitment. We want to have the introspection. Sometimes the hermit is the one that has to sort of take a time out from the world to really connect with that internal light and really be aware. How do I feel? What do I think? What do I want? What is this doing for me? What's my relationship with this work that I'm doing? Do I enjoy it? Do I hate it? Well, I think you're going to do a little bit of both, right? We've got to get out of that over-analyzing things. And it really could be with the Eight of Swords that we're trying to keep ourselves so intellectually busy with this work and with the planning and the problem solving to block out the emotions. We're trying to squeeze them out, right? Trying to ignore how we feel on the day-to-day by having too much complexity. Yeah. Well, let's look at our mystery card. Let's see. Thank you, Bob Ross. I want to see the Empress, obviously, right? But it may be some really good water energy. Any of the water cards would be a good start, you know. If you have a prediction, put it in the comments down below. Let's see what we have. The Wheel of Fortune. Well, again, the idea that this is the once in a lifetime, and this is a confirmation that, yeah, you've been chosen. This is really a leveling up. This is an expansion in your life. And I think that this is the card that says, look, you just need some faith. Trust in the process. Trust in the wheel. Trust in spirit. That this is going to be exactly right. This is going to be fantastic. You can allow yourself to feel the ups and downs of it. Because even when it's down, it doesn't mean that it's not going to work. It doesn't mean that you should then quit. It's just a low day. There's going to be low days. So if you have this fundamental trust and belief in what you're doing, then the day-to-day fluctuations of your emotions aren't going to really matter, right? They're not going to affect the outcome unless you let them. Now we're going to do an extended reading if you want to stick around. There's a link up top. There's a link down below. New readings for Aries Mondays and Fridays. Be sure to watch both readings. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It is totally free. It doesn't cost anything. Leave a comment and let me know where in the world you're watching from. I want you to know that you're the most important part of Dove and Serpent Tarot. I thank you and I love you, and we're all in this together.